Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Brews. I am your host, Commander Claw. If this is your first time here, thank you. Hey, thank you for clicking this video. You're probably super interested in Vincent Valentine. Anyway, in this Breaking Brews series, I always bring about 5 cards that help you brew the commander, whether it's an obvious recommendation or an inconspicuous one. And today we got a black Voltron commander. And honestly, I'm super excited for Final Fantasy. They release a lot of Voltron commanders and a lot of mono black commanders. And I always think mono black commanders are very difficult to, I can't say build. They're fun to build, but the mana ramp portion to get to that spot is difficult without the obvious staples. But anyways, let's talk about Vincent Valentine. For 2 and 2 black, we have a legendary assassin. Let me make the screen for you larger. Let me make the screen larger for you. Let's go. He's a 2/2 body. He says whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a number of +1/+1 counters on Vincent Valentine's equal to that creature's power. What? Then it says whenever Vincent Valentine attacks, you may transform it. Then it transforms into the Galian Beast. Legendary werewolf beast, 3/2 body, trample, lifelink. When Galian Beast dies, return it to the battlefield tapped. This is mean. This is mean. I'm telling you. First off, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you put a number of +1/+1 counters on it, Vincent Van equal to that creature's power. So if you kill a creature that your opponent controls that has power 9, you put 9 +1/+1 counters on Vincent Valentine, and it will make him a 11/11. That's crazy. So also when he attacks, you transform him into the Galian Beast, and he will become. Remember, the counters stay on him. That's the whole point of him. Okay, the counters stay on him when he transforms. So he would become a what? Do the math here. 12/11 with trample and lifelink. This guy is even nastier because when he dies, he returns to Vincent Valentine. However, there's a bunch of tricks you can do. So if an opponent tries to remove him with a Swords to Plowshare and you have some kind of sacrifice outlet, you can sacrifice the Galian Beast, making your opponent miss their target. And guess what? Vincent Valentine is back on the battlefield. That is ugly. Yo, that is ugly. That is ugly. So the biggest thing, Vincent Valentine does not leave the battlefield. You always need a sacrifice outlet, and you will always sack your commander to prevent him from being exiled. Now, I need to think about prison effects. Ooh, yeah, that's probably the only way to really stop him, preventing him from attacking. But let me get you into these card suggestions because I got some good ones. So of course I'm gonna put his artwork as the first card. We got Vincent's Limit Break. For 1 and a black, it's an instant. It has the ability tiered. It says choose 1 additional cost. Until end of turn, target creature control gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control and has the chosen base power and toughness. You can have it come back as the Galian Beast for 0 mana, a 3/2 body, or Death Gigas for 1 mana, a 5/2 body, or the Hellmasker for 3 additional mana, 7/2 body. You choose. Why would you use this? You would use this to save your creature from a removal spell and bring it back as a bigger creature. Then obviously you would, add some aura enchantments, or it would get some kind of power boost or whatever you plan on doing with your deck. So, okay, back on track, back on the obvious stuff. We're going to talk about Will of the Abzan from the Tarkir Dragonstorm set. It is for 3 and a black, a sorcery. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast a spell, you may choose both instead. It says, any number of target opponents each sacrifice a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls and lose 3 life. Then, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay, so if Vincent Valentine is on the battlefield, remember, you get to do both. But the first ability is where it really shines. If you have, or if your opponents have a battlefield littered with powerful creatures, they got to sacrifice those powerful creatures, and you get that many +1/+1 counters equal to those creatures' powers on Vincent Valentine. Yeah, yeah. And guess what? Those opponents still lose 3 life. That's where this card shines, straight up. And that is the Will of the Abzan is an Edict effect. And I had to show you some more of the Edict effects. There's some that are creatures and instant speed spells. I will tell you my favorite one is on the left-hand side, the Accursed Marauder. And there's only one reason why. And let me read it to you. Accursed Marauder for 1 and a black, 2/1 body, zombie warrior. He says when it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a non-token creature. Why? That is good because a non-token creature forces the opponent to sacrifice whatever creature that is generating those tokens if they're in a go wide scheme, or if they just have another, combo creature or utility creature that is just putting in work and creating value. So a Curse Marauder gets rid of those guys. Otherwise, those guys that are players that are making a bunch of tokens, they don't care about sacrificing. They got more than enough. A Curse Marauder says, no, 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 no. Okay, this card is nasty. Lost Caverns of Ixalan bringing another banger. Tyrian Soul Cleaver for 1 mana. Legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has vigilance. Okay. Whenever another artifact or creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature. Equipped 2. This card is devastating. You will put this on Vincent Valentine. This is a banger. Let me tell you why. Imagine Vincent Valentine with vigilance. Okay. Yeah, doesn't tap to attack, and he can still block. Awesome. But this card says whenever another artifact or creature is put into the graveyard from the battlefield. Let's talk about artifacts that go into the graveyard often. Let's think about it. Treasure tokens. Food tokens. All those players with those smothering ties that want to sack them and make mana. Oh, yeah, you get a payoff. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, you get to put +1/+1 counters on the equipped creature. Then also, whenever a creature dies, all those players that are going wide and they want to sacrifice creatures and attack you, whatever the case, if those creatures die, you get +1/+1 counters on the equipped creature. This just makes Vincent Valentine big and swing for commander damage. Devastating. So let's talk about gameplay experience. Vincent Valentine is a nasty commander because your opponents know they need to have creatures on the battlefield as blockers and to attack to beat you. They also know in your Vincent Valentine deck, you are loaded with removal spells, destroy target creature, or sacrifice creatures, stuff like that, right? So there's going to be eventually this game of cat and mouse where do I put creatures out on the battlefield or not? And also, players will have removal in their hand, waiting to see if you attack them. Anyways, you need creatures on the battlefield, and no need to worry because Galian Beast has trample and lifelink. So you're running over smaller creatures and you're gaining life. And you're dealing combat damage, commander damage. So those players need to be wise. All these cards I have for you here give creatures to opponents. Genesis Chamber for 2. Over here on the left-hand side, it says the artifact. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, if Genesis Chamber is untapped, that creature's controller creates a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature token. That is good for you because whenever you play Vincent Valentine or another creature, you get an extra blocker, essentially. But whenever an opponent plays a creature, they make a creature. And guess what? You can kill that creature. It might be only additional 1/+1/+1 counter, but it still counts. Okay. Then Curse of Disturbance for 2 and a black is an enchantment or a curse. You enchant a player. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So the attacking player or the attacked player gets a zombie token. So you put it on an opponent, you attack them, they get a zombie token. You're constantly giving them creatures for you to kill and run over and to buff that Vincent Valentine. But my favorite right here is Clackbridge Troll for 3 and 2 black, 8/8 body, troll, trample, haste. When he enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 3/0/1 white gold creature tokens. At the beginning of combat on your turn, any opponent may sacrifice a creature. If a player does tap Clackbridge Troll, you gain 3 life and you draw a card. Oh my gosh. You're forcing players to sack their creatures just so they don't get attacked by Clackbridge Troll. But the thing is, they don't know where you're swinging Clackbridge Troll to. It could be player A, B, or C. It's your choice. So if they sack it, hey, it's tapped. Politics. Moving on. Thank you for watching this video. First of all, if you're building Vincent Valentine / Galian Beast, you're about to have a lot of fun. This is a commander damage commander, meaning you're going to your attack phase and you're going tall and you're doing one shots on your opponents. One shot. You can add Voltron sub themes to it too to just give it more effects. But otherwise, you better have a bunch of destroy creature removal spells and edicts so your opponents don't have creatures on the battlefield and you have an open battlefield to take out your opponent and one-shot them. Also, remember, you need a sacrifice outlet for your Galian Beast or Vincent Valentine, right? So that way he essentially never dies. The only time he really will die is when he's Vincent Valentine. But once he's the Galian Beast, you got a sack outlet. You can avoid that removal spell, and he's back into Vincent Valentine. You just got to make it back to your attack phase. Super cool commander. Mono Black, taking over the game. Welcome to Final Fantasy.